doing? My name is Rashi Hall. I'm a senior here at Bloomsburg University. I'm a nursing major, and today I will be talking to you about the topic of sex trafficking, some prevention methods of it, and some common causes of it also. So I'm going to start by defining what sex trafficking or trafficking actually is. It is the action or practice of illegally transporting people from one country or area to another for the purpose of sexual exploitation or dealing or exchanging something in an illegal manner. In this case, the most common is humans. So traffickers, what they're known as, they trade other humans. Typically the targets will be, younger females. 98% are females, so they're more likely to be, involved within like the sex trafficking rings and that things of that sort. And children are also major victims of sex trafficking. So next, I'm going to talk about the three types of activities defined as sex trafficking, and they are acquisition, transportation, and exploitation. Under the realm of these three crimes, it includes child sex tourism, domestic minor sex trafficking, and any other kinds of commercial sexual exploitation of children, prostitutes, things of that sort. And sex trafficking is not only subject to children, there are some adults and some families that fall victim to, this public health issue also. And that's just the nature of, the sex trafficking industry and how things are done. It's very illegal and it's very shady, and it's also one of the biggest criminal businesses in the world. So sex trafficking is one of those issues in the world that is very multifactorial, meaning that it just has many factors and a various amount of things that kind of contribute to the problem. The biggest being traffickers, the people who are involved in, the persuading and the shadiness of actually, getting individuals and children and women and also some men involved in this, sex trafficking ring, internationally or in the U.S. Another cause of it is poverty. Some individuals living in such poverty become very desperate to meet, basic needs of life. And what happens is, sex traffickers know this, so what they'll do is, they'll maybe promise them money or something like that, in exchange for some service, and they think that, oh, my family's going to be okay, I'm going to be okay, but in actuality, they're not, For instance, if a trafficker knows that a family is comes from a lower income or things of that sort, they might offer her a job that enables her to, feed her children or feed her family and things of that sort. And if this appears to be her only option, she may accept it and she may be willing to do whatever, the trafficker asks. And, that's just one of the ways that poverty kind of contributes, to sex trafficking in a sense, because they get these people that are very vulnerable and they're in positions of, they don't really have much ways to go, and they get these people that are kind of at a weak point in their life, and they're like, okay, like, we can kind of get over on them. Another cause of sex trafficking is just natural, just lack of knowledge. Mostly in social settings is where it's most common at, nightclubs, bars, things of that sort, things similar to that, parking lots. That's a big one also. And the reason that lack of knowledge is such a big cause of it is because, people don't know that, sometimes, some females get, snatched from bars or snatched from like nightclubs, or, sex traffickers are like there and they're, actively recruiting and, trying to get like females to, come with them and, get them involved in the sex trafficking ring. They have very different and very clever tactics of, actually recruiting and getting people involved in the sex trafficking ring. Another way that they do this, especially with modern day, millennials and things of that sort, they get involved in social media. So what they'll do is they'll go on social media, they'll create like a fake modeling page, and on that page they'll say, oh, we want to offer you this amount of money, come shoot some pictures for us, and that's not actually what it is. You get there and somebody's, trying to throw you in the back of a van, and the next thing you know, you're getting shipped off to another country, and you're forced to do all kinds of things against your will. So, they're violating basic human rights. Another point that I want to emphasize here on is the lack of education that we have in the U.S. in general in the society. Within the communities, there's a lack of education, and also within healthcare providers, there's a lack of education. And I say this because as a society, we lack the necessary tools to correctly assess and recognize when somebody is under the influence of sex trafficking, and that's another big issue of it, is that sometimes we lack the education to recognize when it's going on. So sometimes these individuals are not afforded the help that they can get because somebody doesn't know what sex trafficking looks like on the exterior. So we're not able to treat this horrible issue because we are just lacking education as a society. In this slide, I will be addressing some of the more common tactics that sex traffickers use to lure victims in and things of that sort. So the first that I'll be going over is force. So this is directly forcing the individual into the sex trafficking ring. So for example, say if I was walking in a dark parking lot and I got hit upside my head by somebody, this random person, and I fell to the ground, and when I woke up, I noticed that I was in a van in the back of a car, and the next thing you know, I'm overseas and I'm in a sex trafficking ring. As a result of that's forcing me into it because they don't have my permission to do so. They didn't lie to me or anything like that. They didn't try to use fraud or coercion as a method, but they just forced me into it. And that's also commonly seen in today's era. Fraud is when these individuals or these persons will tell families, children, or older adults that, oh, we have information on you, and they use it as sort of like a blackmail type thing going on, and they use that information against them, and they say, all right, well, we need you to come do this for us today, and the next thing they know, they're involved in the sex trafficking ring also because they're using that fraud and that blackmail to hold it over their head in the hope of them getting involved with the business that they want to go on. And coercion is another common tactic used, and this is when they convince the individual that they must engage in some type of sexual acts or another form of exchange in order to earn money that they need for their family or for them personally, or in order to get like things that they want. Say if you wanted a new watch, they kind of convince the individual that they have to do these things. And with this method, it is commonly seen with children who are like born to the sex trafficking ring. So unfortunately, their mother was a part of the sex trafficking ring, and now she got pregnant and her child is a part of it. And as they get older, they kind of convince this child that this is the way of life, and you have to exchange, sex or something of that manner in order to get money, in order to get, whatever you need for, the necessities of life. On this slide, I'll be more so focusing on the prevalence and the incidence of sex trafficking. So on a global scale, though, so I'm just going to cover the countries that have, the highest incidence of, sex trafficking. So India's at the top of the list with about 14 million victims, per year. China comes in second with 3.2 million victims a year. Pakistan comes in third with 2.1 million victims a year. And Cambodia, there has not been clear numbers established on that, but Cambodia is one of the main countries that are involved in, the transition, the source, the destination. Like it's more of a beacon or an avenue. It's more of like a transportation like setting for trafficking. those sites. And in the U.S., with incidents coming in the U.S. and incidents of sex trafficking out of the U.S., it accounts for 11% of the incidents in the whole world. Within these five countries, the estimated amount of victims or individuals, brought into the sex trafficking ring is around 20 million. So that just lets you and I know in society know that this is a very relevant issue, and it's a prevalent issue, and it's happening every day, and it's often. It's not a thing where it's like it's going away. The numbers have been increasing over the years; they're not decreasing. So now I'm going to kind of talk about the prevention of sex trafficking, and the first one that want to dawn on is education. So education on the methods used to recruit victims in this day and age is essential because social media is a key point of focus for sex traffickers. As you know, it's easy to use, it's easy to manipulate, people. It's easy to manipulate people because every in this day and age everybody's believing whatever they read and whatever they see online. So it's easy to convince some of the younger millennials like myself of getting involved in the sex trafficking ring. And the next thing that I want to hit on is just spreading awareness of the issue. I think as a society we don't do a very good job of spreading awareness of sex trafficking and setting a precedent of urgency with this issue, because it's relevant and it's happening every single day to many people. And I think as a society we do a poor job of letting people know about this issue. And I think we need to do a better job of spreading the awareness of this, letting people know in the community, let this be known in the media, let people get to know about what's going on and ways to prevent this so everybody can be educated on it. Not only spreading awareness, but also educating members of the community. That could be, block leaders or captains, healthcare professionals like myself. As I'm a nursing major, I should know about sex trafficking. I should know the signs of it. I should know the things of this so I can notice what's going on in the current day and age. Also educating parents and the family also, because they also need to notice signs of this, for the safety of their family and their community that they have going on. Another thing that I want to talk about next is the National Human Trafficking Resource Center. And with this center, it's a line that's available 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist victims or people who feel like they are at risk. So, in a variety of ways, it helps prevent trafficking. One is obviously being aware and identifying victims, of if they have abnormal behavior, poor physical health, lack of control, and their work and their living conditions are not well. Sometimes these signs may be shown and they may give small indications as to whether they're more likely to be involved in sex trafficking or if they're being, involved in that. So Thorn is an organization that was started by Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore when they were married, and it's previously known as the DNA Foundation, which is named after Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher, their name, and it's an international anti-human trafficking organization that works to address sexual exploitation of children and individuals involved in sex trafficking ring. So the primary program and efforts of the organization focus on internet technology and a role that it plays in facilitating, child pornography or sexual slavery on a global scale, things of that sort. So what they've done is they've hired technicians, digital forensic majors, things of that sort, people in more so of the tech field, and they've compiled and made different databases and different devices to help identify victims or individuals at risk for sex trafficking, victims of sex trafficking, and they've also helped police enforcement in the U.S. between September of 2017 and 2017, the development of the technology that Thorn has developed helped identify 6,000 sex trafficking victims and also helped rescue 103 children at the time. What they've also done is they've created a spotlight device, and what this spotlight device does is it speeds up the time that law enforcement were able to, find victims. So usually the time between, law enforcement finding the victim, it was slower. They had to go through more kind of, firewalls and things of that sort. And then with this device that they have, they don't have to, go through so much. They can kind of get right to the issue. They can figure out exactly what's going on. So this device is, helping them find victims, quicker, helping them to get them to safety and things of that sort. So this is more of the tech side of things, because in this day and age, sex traffickers are switching their tactics as society changes also. And this is a very tech savvy, tech focused society that we live in now. So sex traffickers are using that to their advantage. So what Ashton Kutcher and what Thorn has done is they've created a device that can help kind of alleviate that issue. And now, they're pushing forward on a more national scale, so they can help identify sex trafficking victims, and they can help, deplete this issue. I just want to thank everybody for listening. I appreciate it, and spread the awareness about this issue. Thank you.